Welcome back, everybody, to Civilization Start Over. This episode, we're gonna actually start here down in Australia. You see, Australia, New Zealand, and Taiwan are not in the UN, so they don't really have to be covered by UN law. And this is a little bit of an issue considering oh, one second. Considering how Australia is an imperialist nation, so on one cold winter day down here towards what is known as the Philippines in real life, was part of Taiwan, the Australian Navy will start attacking the Taiwanese Navy down here. They'll actually encircle this island, and then they'll make a landing on it. Now, when this happens, the UN will convene, and a vote is put forward. Even though Australia, Taiwan, and New Zealand are not part of the UN, should we get involved on this? And it's actually kind of a split issue here, because the Americas aren't really concerned about it. They're only concerned about this area. Africa wants someone to get involved, so is Europe. But the big deciding factor is China's UN alliance. And when the vote finishes, it's 60 to 40. 40% of the world doesn't want the UN get involved, but 60% do, mainly from all of these countries. And there was some countries over here, like these 5 want to get involved. So when the UN votes involve, China's regional alliance is activated, and because they're getting involved on the side of Taiwan, they will also become unofficial members of this alliance. And this is where the fighting really begins, because the first thing that Taiwan does is kick Australia out of their land, and with the help of the Chinese Navy, they will push Australia's Navy back, and they will actually be pretty successful in repelling them. And then they go on the offense, and when they do, they make really quick work of Australia's Navy in this area. They're able to encircle 2, 3, 4, around 4 islands. As they do, they will make landings taking islands. This island and these 2 islands quickly fall as China's Navy expands its front. Then for this part of the invasion, Vietnamese troops will actually make a landing and take this chain of islands down here. And then Taiwan's military will make landings around here. And Australia is being beaten back pretty hard here. It's kind of embarrassing for them. of like, why are we losing? This doesn't make sense. We're much more powerful than this. They aren't. They just have a skill issue, to be honest. And yeah, Australia won't be winning this war, as these islands are completely surrounded now. No. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. I said right there. No. Stupid program. But yeah, China will then be the leading, like, invader on these islands, on this one, and over here. And they also are able to make their first landing right here on core Australian territory. And this is where the major fighting's gonna begin, when Chinese, Indian, Vietnamese, basically all these countries' armies start making landing up here. And Australia will be beaten back severely over here until the coalition gets around here on the island. But then something unexpected happened. A massive coalition in Western Asia will form against China's alliance. And most notably, it's the countries that were, like, previously invaded by China. Now, why are they forming this? Well, it's because they believe China is getting too strong. And they think they're not exactly a great country. So, yeah. Kyrgyzstan will be the first to make a move and turn into Chinese territory up here. And Serbian territory up here. The reason why they approved of forming coalition on Australia originally is they wanted to use it more as an excuse for Chinese troops to be down here instead of, like, throughout Asia. And when this happens, China will quickly recall a lot of its troops to help fight on the front line, giving Australia the opportunity to push China back in this area. Actually, they do a pretty good job pushing them back. Like, they're even able to completely re-encircle this large island and these islands. And they're able to even make a landing over here and take back this whole island. So Chinese troops, the Chinese troops that were there start coming back. When they arrive here, they do start pushing back against Kyrgyzstan and do help Siberia to push back. But this is when Finland finishes its mobilization. And Finland, here's the thing. Finland is in the top 10 most powerful countries. So is Saudi Arabia, who else in this alliance is just Saudi Arabia and Finland, and like China's number one in a lot of this area's strong, but having two like top 10 powers on this side is kind of scary for China, especially when Finland makes quick work of this area and takes a lot of land super fast. They even take these islands, and up here, China's gonna try their best to help Siberia here, but down here, it's getting worse because without a lot of Chinese forces down here, Australia's able to fully take a lot of their land back, but Vietnam isn't gonna let them succeed. They're gonna take this island back pretty quickly and then attempt to make landing on this island, but it fails. And Australia only has a navy almost approaching Vietnam's border. They managed to push the Chinese alliance's navy out of this area, and they finally meet up with the border of Vietnam, and they will make a landing, which causes a lot of fear in China. Mainly, they're thinking, which front line should we prioritize? Because now we're all being, well, not all of us, but a lot of us are being invaded, especially when by surprise Saudi Arabian troops make a landing right here in Pakistan, and at the same time Iran will also push into Pakistan, and now the gear team starting to be invaded on almost all sides. They're not being invaded in India, Tibet, Korea yet, which is fortunate for them. And they could probably still win this war if it wasn't for another country getting involved. South America makes a surprise entrance in this war, but not on the side of China. They actually get involved on the side of Australia. Keep in mind, they voted against the UN getting involved in Australia. And now this has basically almost evolved into a full-scale world war. And a lot of countries in China's alliance are going to realize this and know about. Mainly Korea and Japan, Tibet, and even India will know about of this war, leaving it just be China, Siberia, Vietnam, Taiwan, and Pakistan. And Pakistan's the one who's gonna experience the most hardships right away from this, because Saudi Arabian troops will start making a successful campaign along with Iran, and they cut Pakistan basically in half, and they will get all the way towards the capital of Pakistan before the country decides to surrender, because they rather not lose their capital. They don't lose their capital and just filling it in as occupation zone. The occupation zone's gonna mainly look like this, though. Like, they're gonna just cut evenly in half. So now Pakistan is out of this war. And yeah, so now it's just China, Siberia, and Vietnam, which Vietnam is starting to not look so good either, as Australian troops start arriving in large numbers and being back Vietnam in this island, managing to capture the entire island. This isn't just Australia doing that. Most of the South American troops are down here. They even make a landing right here. And it's starting to look really bad for Vietnam, as Australia takes more and more of the land, eventually taking this entire island and working their way up this peninsula, being stopped right here. But then Australia makes a new landing in the Philippines, taking the entire country pretty quickly. And now Taiwan is gonna surrender to Australia in exchange with them leaving their capital alone. And Vietnam's gonna see this and be like, we'll let you have some land if you stop fighting us. We agree. And China and Siberia now are not gonna have fun, because it's just them left in this alliance. And yeah, Western Asia and South America are starting to arrive en masse. And they even threaten India, saying, if you don't let us move troops to you, we'll invade you. And India, not looking to be invaded, they'll allow it happen. So Saudi Arabian troops are entering here. And Finland finishes off this section of Siberia before they eventually are like, alright, we'll leave the war too. And now China is like, alright, so all my allies suck then. And Australia's like, yeah, pretty much, but boo-hoo, sucks be you, as they start making their landing in China. And the world's completely shocked that China is refusing to surrender. They say, well, we're the most powerful country in the world, we're gonna win. And they do at first start making a lot of good progress against the three, but around here is when it gets really bad, especially when two massive rebellions pop up in China. And yeah, a lot of people quickly choose support. In Australia, will be able to fully link up with both of them. And yeah, China's starting to collapse because this war is very unpopular with its people, and a lot of its military refuse to actually fight in this. This is why China was not able to really hold out in this war, despite being the most powerful country in the world. So China will eventually fall to Australian, Saudi Arabian, Kyrgyzstan troops and their own rebellion. And now for the peace treaty. First part about peace treaty is all the alliances are to be dissolved. The UN is like overseeing this peace treaty, and Australia is fine with that because they make one big request, and that is to kick China, Siberia, and Vietnam out of the UN because they say that they escalate the war, and the UN reluctantly agrees because a lot of countries in the world actually agree with Australia. But Australia enters the UN, and so does New Zealand, because now that China's gone, they feel like they have more influence and say in this region. Also, China's UN pact was forced to disband, so there's no military alliance over here. And yeah, but then here comes the land exchanges. Alright, so Australia will only begin this from Vietnam. This is all they ask in terms of land. But these last 3 islands will be released from Vietnam. So this green country will be formed. This gray country will be formed. And up here, it's gonna be a little complicated. First, not that color, orange, not that type of orange. This, northern bit of the Philippines is one country. They get all of this. They evenly split this island. They get this island and this island. And these 2. And the rest will be split into a different nation, their own separate nation. Actually decide to turn this upper Philippine area into that color. This capital will be right here, this one here, and that's Australia's. Oh, wait. There's some errors over here. I shall fix errors. I don't like them. Okay. Next will be up here in China. Alright, this is how the division's gonna go. So up here in Siberia, Siberia will be forced to spit out their, claim in the Ural Mountains. Why is this not working properly? Like it's supposed to just work. Like, come on, program. Where's the issue line? Oh, this 1 pixel down here. Okay. But yeah, they'll be forced spit out this purple country, and they keep rest of their land. Up here, the purple country will get all of this. Kazakhstan will get all of this. India, for allowing Saudi Arabian troops through, will get all of this. Mainly so they can weaken China a little more, because the red star lines in like China. Vietnam will get all of this to weaken China even more. Then China will be split into two. This country, 1 second. Yeah, we get all of this. Just stop the coloring right there. Fix these. So that will be South China. And the rest will be Northern China again. So that'll be Northern China. And this will be this last section will be its own country. I keep doing that. I keep getting pissed off because I'm doing that. And they will be China's old golden color. So now China is 3 different countries. And then over here, Iran will get all of this land, with Saudi Arabia not getting the rest of the country, just getting this state. And to weaken Pakistan a little more, these two will decide to give Tibet some land, and rest goes back to Pakistan. Now Pakistan's small again. And now for one last major event. Finland will unite with Volga, making them a large country. And to centralize their government a little more, they will move their capital from being up north or up south to directly in the center of this country. Now the citizens of both countries are actually really for this, because this will mean both countries will be a lot stronger. And yeah, and they will also finally let go of their claim of Denmark. And now Denmark, for the first time in a while, will start getting independence again. They get all this land back, but Finland does request 3 things. 1, to keep all this land over here, and 2, they want coastal control of this section of Denmark, and Denmark agrees to this, because it's just a small bit of land. Where's the line that's making them ruin it? No, seriously. What is happening? I don't know why it's being weird right now, the map. But yeah, Finland will hold on to this part of Denmark, and Denmark's fine with it. And when Finland releases Denmark, so does the Dutch. In fact, they don't even keep any land within Denmark. They give it all back immediately. And only country with Danish land still is Germany, which, after pressure from the Dutch and the Finnish, they will release their control over Denmark. So they will get all this back, and this little island. But they also do request keep some land in Denmark, and they want to keep land over here. And Denmark's fine with this, because it's just, again, a little small part of land. And Scotland decides they're not gonna stay over here, so they're gonna give Norway all of their claims on the subcontinent. Would you call this subcontinent? I would. So yeah, this is what Europe's looking like now. Now, for the UN, seeing that Australia was allowed to join the UN despite being the aggressor in this war, a lot of countries in the UN will leave. Most notably South Africa, like the Southern African countries, Vancouver, Dakota, Kansas, Arizona, and California, and Alaska, Finland, Kazakhstan, actually, no, they will stay, Tibet and India and Pakistan will leave, and even Scotland and England will leave, and the UN has basically started to collapse. To help preserve the organization, the UN will vote to retract the no non-approved alliance clause in hopes that will make countries that were previously uneasy with the UN to stay in, but this kind of makes South America be like, then what's the point being in it? And the entirety of South America leaves the UN. The UN has collapsed in this world, and it will slowly, over the next few episodes, collapse. Vietnam was supposed to get that occupied territory right here back. Why won't let me? Everything is awful. No, seriously, what's going on? What layer is that on? That's on that wing. Oh wait, I know. There you go. Alright, and we gotta fix that real quick. There we go. Nope, I accidentally just deleted Serbia. Siberia. Completely. Alright, there we go. So, what's gonna be the first thing that happens since the UN collapsed? Well, there's actually gonna be some fighting that already breaks out, and it's actually between Tanzania and Ethiopia, because they don't trust each other. There's a lot of distrust with other countries now. Tanzania will be the first one to invade, and they will get pretty far before Ethiopia is able to kick them right back out. They also will quickly enter into Tanzania, capturing 2 cities and even the capital, and they will push down to Lake Victoria, completely surround it, cutting off Tanzania from this land. And Tanzania's like, oh, this probably was a bad idea. And Madagascar never expanded, but today they are, because they will join the war inside Ethiopia, and they will quickly, with Ethiopia's help, be able to cut Tanzania into 2 occupation zones. And now for this peace tree. The peace tree will be simple, but no, Ethiopia does not take the entire country. We'll only take all of this. And Madagascar will take this. Tanzania will be allowed to exist, but this further fuels the distrust with the international organization in this world, as the next to leave is the Iberian countries, the Middle East, with the exception of Georgia and Turkey, and even the rest of Latin American countries. And speaking Latin America, the Panama Canal will finally be finished being repaired. And then, in like fear of potentially wars breaking out, Vancouver will reform its like UN alliance, but it's just like a standard non-UN alliance. And they will be represented by a star, and they will have Arizona, California, Alaska, Mexico, Vancouver, Panama, Venezuela, and Cuba in the alliance. And down here, Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Ethiopia will form their own alliance, like for just this region. And India, Vietnam, and Tibet will be a little scared by this, so they basically reformed part of the old alliance they were in, and they even include Pakistan in the alliance, which causes Saudi Arabia wanna get equal with India's alliance. So Iraq joins, and this alliance down here will reform. Actually, 1 second. And the Star Alliance will reform as their own military alliance, and this officially puts a nail in the coffin for the UN, as North America fully leaves the UN. I messed everything up. 1 second. Okay. They will fully leave UN, and so will the rest of the world. The UN has officially collapsed in this timeline. All due to the Australian-Chinese War. 1 second, this is really pissing me off. Why is everything not moved correctly? And this causes the world to pick sides again, with the Checkmark Alliance immediately picking up Louisiana as part of the alliance, and Canada forming their own alliance, like military alliance, with a lot of North America. And yeah, Europe and most of Africa will be like, yeah, we're not doing this. In fact, most of Africa and Europe will instead, most of like the 3-point star economic pact and square pact will isolate themselves from the rest world. Same thing will happen here with the Triangle Pact, with the exception of Norway and Sweden, because they will choose just stay out any pact now, because they see the world potentially escalating right back to World War VI, and the Hart Economic Pact will mostly do the same thing, with all of these countries leaving it. And now we have basically like 3 main spheres of influence in the world now, with all the economic pacts basically isolating themselves away from other ones, but in a very familiar way to what it was before World War IV. And these spheres of influence, with the spheres of influence looking like this, and yeah, the world might be heading towards another global conflict. But that'll be it for this episode of Civilization Start Over. See you guys next time.